before bam. Right. Let's
Hey,
fucking do
this
it.
Swing Dave, call this number back. I need $25 for this walk around sit down chair.
Production. Been around the block. Been around the block.
Welcome to episode 26 of Been Around the Block. We are very glad to have everyone here, and we'll be putting this up later on the show, but in the last 90 days, we've been able to reach 56.1 thousand people, and that would not be possible without our viewers and listeners on Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, etc. Anyways, I'm Brooke Southard. Welcome to Been Around the Block. We have Matthew Matlock tuning in all the way from Paris, California, Bradley Nemo Sparks from the west side of Oklahoma City, and Christopher Ross from the south side of Oklahoma City. How's everybody doing tonight?
That was beautiful.
Oh, thank you. You know, I tried. I rehearsed it in my head. It actually came out right. So
He's got one of those voices, you know. It's like
That's what I say. He's good at it.
Yeah,
He's good.
yeah.
thank you guys. I appreciate that. Hopefully my video doesn't cut out tonight. I fixed my PC where that shouldn't be a problem. But I digress. Thank you guys for tuning in. Welcome, Matthew. How's the weather out there? I gotta ask.
Hotter
Hot.
than fish grease, but you know, I think it's going to start cooling down here shortly. So hopefully,
We're looking.
Is
forward
it
to
really?
there.
What is it over there? What's
about
the weather?
100, about 100.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying. Let me see. We're sitting at
We're
it was a
about
high
80.
of 89. It's 82 right now.
Yeah, it ain't bad here, but
Nah.
yeah, that's. So is it like a thick ass heat, or is it like dry?
It's dry.
Dry. Okay, I mean
Yeah.
that's not as bad. It's still a little thick over here. So,
Yeah.
but so we're very grateful for having you on here, man. And like I said, we kind of talked before we went on the air, and we're really grateful to hear your story. And you said, as we kind of asked, you got a newborn, right?
Yes, I do, man. He's 3 weeks old.
3 weeks. That's amazing. man.
Wow.
It's such a good thing, man.
43
Did you-
years old, starting over, bro.
Hell yeah.
You know.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
So
Best part is he gets to see me sober through it all. You know, one day at a time. I have recovery. I have tools to get through this and actually give him the best life possible. So.
And that proves right there, like the way God gives us second chances when we, turn it around. That's beautiful, bro.
Do the right thing, right things come to you. It's wild.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Man, if we just would have learned that a little earlier in life,
Yeah, but you know what? We wouldn't be able to reach the people we reached because the testimony, bro. It's God's using it for His glory in my book.
Amen. And I had a guy ask me the other day. He said, if you could go back and know that when you first got high or first got drunk that you was going to end up being an addict, would you still do it?
I could answer that question 100%. If you guys like, what's your answer, Matthew?
I'd say that to answer it directly, no, I wouldn't have done it. But where I'm at is I did do it, and the thing is like, I think like I said, it all works out for God's glory, and in the end, like, I can't tell you the feeling being able to reach someone, help them get sober, help them, get to the point where I'm at. I can't tell you the feeling it gives me to watch someone, get where I'm at. It's rewarding,
Oh yeah.
Let me ask you this, and I don't want to turn this into a debate. Disease or choice?
Ooh, I think the choice becomes a disease.
That's a good answer.
I think the choice becomes a disease. I think there's a string of bad choices cause me to acquire a disease. Just like anything, you eat the wrong foods nowadays with all the things they have in it, and guess what? We have cancer, right? But
Yeah.
if we're armed with information beforehand, which we weren't I wasn't with my disease, we can avoid those things. But I knew it was bad for you,
Awesome. I love that answer, bro.
That's great.
And that's one of the I try to stay away from those debates because I feel like it just does no good for what we try to do in this community. we're not here to argue with you. You know what I'm saying? There's so many internet experts in the comments these days, and I just try to shy away from them.
So I'm going to kind of bring it back to the original question, Bradley. What's your answer to that? Would you, if you had the choice to go back, would you take that first drug or drink?
So, man, it's hard looking at my life today. It's hard for me to say that I wouldn't, um, but because the person that asked me, he asked me that, and he said, well, we never would have met, or you never would have met your wife. Your daughter wouldn't have been here. Maybe I would have met some of the same people under different circumstances, but I think sometimes we go through what we go through so that we can help someone else out, so that we can pull someone else out the fire. Uh, Maybe your struggle that you're going through is meant to be so that down the road you can help someone else out that's going through that same thing. They need you. You know what I'm saying? So, uh, man, it's hard for me to answer that, bro.
It's a tough one.
Because
It really is. I mean,
really, I think I would be a millionaire today if I never would have took that first drink
if
or drug.
yeah, I mean, but objectively, like it's hard to say because, like, again, I wouldn't be where. I mean, of course, my life isn't a paradise, on earth or anything. But the bottom line is, I wouldn't be with you guys. I wouldn't, probably like what you said with your kid. I probably would have never met my ex-wife had I not originally taken that first drink or drug. All
Right.
that other stuff. What about you, Chris?
Man, if I chased, if I gave my, if I chased money like I chased the way I used to chase the bag, I would probably be just like Bradley. I'd probably try to shoot out to try to be a millionaire. It wouldn't have been no, like, I probably, that's a hard question because
That's a tough question. Yeah.
I would be in my head, I'd be like, ooh, I want to try it just because of my fucking the addict state of mind in my head. But then, and also like, oh no, I know I can get hooked. So let me chase this money the same way. If I'm gonna be addicted to something, I would just try to turn it positive. But
So you
it
saying
is,
you think you had the disposition of an addictive personality to begin with?
yeah. Regardless, I would have been addicted to something.
Yeah.
I know how I am.
Yeah.
Hey, I believe so. Yeah, and that's another debate I don't like getting into, but I believe I did have a predisposition to
I
addiction.
feel the same way.
I
100%.
also,
I was
I
wired
think my
that way.
17-month-old has one. She'll walk around with 3 pacifiers. You know what I'm saying? You don't need 3 pacifiers.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you're saying you got 5 years sober, right? So let's just
Yeah.
kind of jump in, man. When you have 5 years, or you're getting ready to have 5 years?
5 years, 3 months. So I believe
Okay,
it's
that's right.
and some change. July 7th, 2019.
Oh yeah,
Awesome.
that's what's
Yeah.
up, man.
Yeah. Blessing.
Congratulations.
Thank you,
So
brother.
let's jump into it. What was it like? What happened, and what it's like now? Let's give some hope to our viewers tonight.
Okay, for sure, man. I'm ready. So first and foremost, I just want to give my higher power, who I choose to call God, all the glory. And I hope I can do that through this, through giving my testimony. So man, it started off before I ever drank and used. Grew up in a somewhat poor family. Others have had it worse, but to what we do as addicts and alcoholics, at some point we're trying to fit in. And so where I try to fit in is, everyone, all the kids around me, had things that I wanted and we couldn't afford it. So where my addiction started was stealing, you know, straight up, right off the top. If there were shoes I wanted, there was clothes I wanted, there was things I wanted, I stole, and that just created a monster in me, really. And so where that led me is, at the point of, trying to fit in, and in high school, started with weed, and as my program of recovery talks about, it's a progressive disease. And once I was inebriated to the point where I realized I didn't have to deal with feelings or care what everyone else thought, I wanted to be like that all the time. And where that led me was, because of the feel the need to have what everyone else had is, I started selling drugs at a young age, and you know, basically led to multiple arrests as a juvenile, and there was just unmanageability from the very start, from the moment I picked up, whether it be drugs or alcohol. And I never can do one or the other. It's all or nothing. If I'm dabbling in one, I'm overusing another and then switching that into that. And but I started selling drugs at a young age, and which meant I had it all the time. I had the alcohol, I had the drugs, I had the people around me, and it created a monster. It just try to go chronologically in this is. When I turned 18, I was arrested for embezzlement. I quickly, as alcoholics and addicts, and as I'll speak for myself, as I, tended to have this conception of who I was in my heart, but my actions never, ever, ever, when I was drinking and using, said who I actually had this conception of who I was. And I thought I was this great guy. I had God in my heart from a young age, and believed myself to be kind and believed myself to be gentle and all these great qualities. But my actions were completely the opposite. And I got arrested for embezzlement at work. My poor dad got me the job, and he's watching me as I leave, and in a cop car, with his head down. And my dad was an alcoholic and addict he was clean for 27 years before he died. And so to watch his son was heartbreaking, for him. And it was heartbreaking for me to look back at him, and disappoint him. I remember him visiting me in jail and looking at me through the glass. And, he was a religious man and loved the Lord. And he looked at me straight to the glass. And, he goes, "Hey man, you got to choose." I said, "What's that?" He said, "You got to choose. You're going to serve God. God is so relentless that he will pursue you so much that you will either serve him for the rest of your life in here, or you'll learn to serve him out there." And I remember those words. I remember the look on his face, and I remember being so scared that, because I know the power of God from a young age, and at that point, like we were talking about before we aired, is it a choice or is it a disease? And my string of bad choices led me to the disease, and at that point, I had so many bad choices that I was in that part of my disease that even though I was scared from what my father said, man, I ignored it, quickly got out. I'm famous for getting out of jail and doing good for a little while, or getting out of my situation and doing good for a little while, and then my disease always pulled me back. And, so where that progressed is, I catch my first prison term. I've been to prison 5 times. I'm like one of those crash test dummies. They stick in the car and they put them in the car. It rams into the wall. They stick them in another car, and like a fish in a fishing, in a bowl or an aquarium that just keeps ramming the glass. I learn. I'm a hard learner, I guess I'm saying. And my first time in prison, I've been playing basketball all my life. I've been in sports all my life, not a racist bone in my body. But, now I'm being conditioned in another manner, and to continue this lifestyle, to get used to this lifestyle, because now there is no change coming. Now this is what you do. So learn how to live in here. And, it led me to being racist. It led me to everything I never was growing up, the funny thing.
Well, prison is very segregated. It's
Absolutely.
life in there is totally different.
Oh, it's a whole new world, and you have to conform, or you have to join something or get stomped on, basically, is what it comes down to,
Now,
And
did you always grow up in Cali?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. Lived here, born, raised here. haven't really left this bubble of where I was raised. I mean, the town I was raised in, like Elsinore, Menifee, all those little areas right here, it's all within 10 minutes from where I live now, you know? So, yeah, just basically it just progressed, you know, the program of recovery that is, you know, it's a progressive disease. And man, it couldn't be more spot on with that. It was progressive, and it was like a fast growing cancer, you know. It took over my life. And like I said, and I got out every time and did well, you know, every prison term did well, stayed sober long enough to get off parole, probation, whatever it may be. And then, you know, back to my old ways. And, you know, deep down I knew I wanted to be sober, right? So I would get out and, you know, like my program recovery it talks about like we try to drink and use like a gentleman, right? And, you know, with that said, I tried every combination. I tried to just drink on the weekends. I tried to just drink at night. I tried to
Switch
just do,
brands or whatever.
yeah, just do dope on the weekends. I
Yeah.
mean, I tried to just do dope and drink. Like, I mean, you know, every combination, and, you know, to no avail. It just progressed, and it progressed fastly, you know. You know, I don't do well once I mean, I could drink for 10. The thing about alcoholism for me is I could drink for 10 days, 10 months, 10 minutes, 10 years socially, you know, because I had 7 years out one time, but one of those days I'm doing drugs, you know. And I never really thought of myself as an alcoholic, but I drank, but I thought of myself as an addict more than anything, you know. But I knew that I was an alcoholic when I came out of a bar. I go into a bar and I'm just drinking. I'm, you know, fit and looking good from being in jail, and you know, I go in the bathroom drunk, and everyone's doing bumps of coke, and I'm like, oh yeah, let me get some. I do some. I'm like, oh no, what I do? I had no intentions of doing that. 10 minutes later, I'm at the dope man's house, you know. So yeah, it's a very progressive disease for me, you know. And, you know, I won't tell too many war stories or drunkalogs or whatever, but, you know, I think really where I spiraled my worst was, you know, I just started dabbling in drugs again, from doing good. Started my own little landscaping business at the time. And my mom went to go visit my mom and dad, you know, and I'm just dabbling, so I'm keeping it under wraps. And my dad wants me to go to the Laker game, you know, or to watch the Laker game. Come and watch the Laker. Okay, Dad. You know, so basically what happened is I stay with the homies to smoke a bowl, and then I'm gonna go watch the Laker game, and then I get a phone call, and my mom, they said, you need to hurry up, come home fast. We think your dad's dead, you know. And I'm like, what? Come on, man. I know I'm never late, but you just give me a break. I thought they were joking, you know. And I'm like, I'm on my way. I'm on my way. You know, I thought she was just trying to get me to come. And I don't know why I thought that. But then my sister called back, and, you know, I heard it in her voice. So I jam over there, basically go in. My mom's got this look of just complete shock on her face. And I'm 25 years old at the time. And I walk in and, you know, greet everyone, hug with everyone, pray with everyone, even though I'm, you know, completely loaded. And, you know, in the front, let me back up in the front. This is how crazy it got. Like, you know, God's always showing up in my life, you know, one way or another. And even when I don't want to let him in or see him. And, you know, I pull up, and I start yelling at the ambulance people, what are you doing for my dad? What is going on? Why are you walking slow? They're like, sir, you need to calm down. And I'm going off. I'm like, basically get ready to square off with all of them, because I feel like they're not helping my dad. He's like, you need to go inside. Your dad's deceased. You know, your dad passed away. And so I go over to the side fence, just start punching every fence panel that I could get my hands on, screaming, crying. I turn around, they're creeping up on me like, you know, if I'm 5150 type, they're creeping. I stand up, just try to get them to basically square off with me. And all of a sudden it was like an angel parted the group of guys. And this woman, most beautiful thing ever, you know, It just something about her was peace. Something about her was calm. Something about her was everything. And she just reached up to me. She just hugged me, and I'm like, oh, I melted in her arms. And she told me, "You need to be a man of the house. You know, it's your turn. Now you need to go in there and be strong." So I went in and prayed, and not really experiencing too much death at that point in my life as far as being around. Um, for it was, I went to use the bathroom and almost stepped on my dad's body, and that that image was burned in my head forever. The sheet over him, his body contorted, bodily fluids everywhere. Only thing I could really see of him was his hand with my mom's, mom and dad's wedding ring, and after that it was bad. I mean, I think I went from just being an addict and selling drugs to now I'm carrying guns, robbing people. Like I'm angry now, and you know, I blame myself for probably 7 years for that.
And you said you were about 25 then, right?
Yeah, yeah. I was 25 years old, and I blame myself for a lot of years for that, and felt that I put my dad in his deathbed, by worry and stress, and it was a long road, to get to where I didn't blame myself anymore. But so another key pivotal point, basically was, I'm in prison, um, just basically gun charges, the whole thing of an addict and alcoholic, when he's basically on his worst. And, you know, I get a phone call. I'm in my jail cell. Actually, I'm in my jail cell, fighting my case. And, they called me out, and my mom passed away while I'm in jail now,
Oh my God, dude.
And so they ended up ORing me after multiple attempts and the DA denying it, I was so bad, and the person I was so far off from who I thought I was of myself. Like I was saying before, was, they're saying, no, he's on a crime spree. He's clearly a menace to society. But God showed up once again in my life and let me out, and on OR. And I turned myself in gladly after the funeral. But, what did I do when I first left there? I was loaded, the minute I left jail. So just unimaginability, powerlessness, complete and wholly in my life. Like, I have no other way to put it but powerlessness, man. I was powerless to drugs and alcohol. And, last term I paroled from the hole on conspiracy. I was using the whole time. First time I touched heroin ever in jail, and it was scary for me because at this point I left my son the term before this. So I did back-to-back terms, gone from him for like 4 years. This is my oldest. He's about to be 14. And, I knew that I needed help. I heard of, step programs. I've heard of treatment programs. I've heard of, but I was above that. I could do it on my own. Right. And now I'm at the point where, all my friends are dying on overdoses from heroin, and even alcoholism. That I've lost so many people at this point too, and now I've touched heroin. It's like, okay, and now do I catch life on this next one, or am I dead and overdosed in a hotel room? And it was weird. It's like I said, God showed up. During that term, I was on lockdown. My cellie asked me, "Hey, do you know what 12 steps are? Do you know how to work them?" And I don't know how to work them. We started reading the steps, and we thought we were working them. Little do we know that it was going to come full circle. So I got out, and my homegirl's like, "Look, I've got a job for you. I've got a ride to work. My husband will take you. You could stay here and pay. Just pay us later when you get on your feet." I looked at her straight in the face. I said, "Will you take me to rehab?" She said, "What? You never do this." I said, "Dude, I've heard all about it, and like I'm like 2 seconds away to go to get loaded again. I just got out. I usually had the pattern of doing good for a while. No, this was out. Now I'm paroling high at this point." And
now you mentioned your kid's mother. Did you ever have a healthy relationship with them, or?
Absolutely not. So, and I don't say that laughing, but
Yeah, I mean,
I
it
was
is what it is.
I
Yeah.
was the most toxic person that you can think of in a relationship, and in the most toxic with the most toxic person. We were just toxic. You can't be with the toxic person and not be toxic.
Yeah.
I laugh
Right.
at people that say that, oh, he's so toxic, but they're still with him. Bro, you're toxic too if you're with them.
You're
So,
right.
I mean, it's just hand in hand. So, anyways, luckily, God showed up again. My sister-in-law, give her all the credit, like she stepped up and took my son because my wife was using too. My wife, she took my son from my wife and was like, "Look, dude, till you guys get your stuff together, like you can't have him. Like, he's ours." So he never touched the system, and I thank God for that. And
Yeah.
I owe her the world, and we have a great relationship today. But I'll get into that. Like, I paroled and I went to the Salvation Army, and I'd heard you talk about that, Brooks,
Yep.
in a podcast that you guys had done, and
Place
man,
saved my
that
life a
place,
couple times. Yep.
bro, that place changed my life. And the book that I read out of for my program of recovery, it talks about how we need to be badly mangled, right? Like
Yeah.
basically
100%. Yeah.
before we become sweetly reasonable. And I was there. That's where I was, bro. Like I was so badly mangled, and my character defects are thick, bro. And I still are working with some that I obviously try to keep in check or whatever. But as far as following rules, following any kind of anything that anyone's trying to tell me what to do is like it's usually doesn't happen. But I'm
Yeah.
so badly mangled at that point that I
Yeah.
literally,
Do whatever the fuck somebody tells you
bro,
to
my
do.
hair was
Yep.
this long when I paroled, and I don't wear long hair, but I rolled. They asked me, and I wanted to keep it. They're like, asked me to cut my hair. I'm like, yes, sir. They asked me to tuck in my shirt. I'm like, yes, sir. Like,
Oh
I,
yeah.
I do had no problem,
Yeah.
and I got my brother Ed Holmes, still in contact with him today. He had multiple, over 20 years sober. He goes there and works at the fellowship. He was speaking, and I looked at him, and he said, don't fix what's not broken. Follow the next man ahead of you. Like, and that was like, whoa, wait a minute. Like if this guy could do it after his story and everything he's been talking about that he went through, like, why can't I do it? Like,
Yeah.
don't fix what's not broken. Okay, now who am I following? I'm not usually a follower. I like to think myself
Yeah.
as a leader in all the wrong ways, but like, who am I following? And man, where that led me is like, where I played hard there, like played ping pong, program, laughed, joked, but like when it was about my sobriety and getting something, that someone else had, and all the suggestions and all the cliches we learned in recovery, like I was trying to live by them. I was taking notes. I was so hungry, and you know, my program recovery says get a sponsor, work the steps, go to meetings, work with others. And so I set out on the journey. And I remember it's so important for me to stress on the advice and the suggestion that I took of find someone that has something you want,
Yeah.
and follow their lead, And I remember sitting in the, not knowing if I'd ever see my son again, because it's at that point, like I don't deserve it. I really don't. I've completely ripped him out of his own home environment and so much more. And you know, I'm listening to what is now my sponsor speak at a panel there, and you know, he's redhead like me, ginger. Prison tattoos, the full 9 yards. He's in the union. I had previously been in the union. I just wasn't back in there yet because I'm obviously getting out and in a program or whatever. And he had everything that I wanted. And then he has a son. We have the same age. Our sons are the same age. And, he's telling a story about how they were doing some type of basically like they were trying to work towards a goal of so many pitches in the strike zone, in a row at this. And they hit their goal. And he said his son threw down his glove and ran up to him and said, "We did it, Daddy." And, I'm going to get choked up now, but we did it, Daddy, bro. And like, I get teared up now because I wanted that. Like,
Yeah.
I wanted to be the father my dad was to me. And so I immediately asked him to be my sponsor. And, I'll tell you what, some of the people in recovery are like the most selfish, but selfless people ever. They will give their time to you. This man gave his time to me like on a weekly basis. If I finish, he matched my effort. If I finished the step, he was there at the next Wednesday. If it's like, it's man, dude. So, I remember started working the steps, and we're pretty thorough in my sponsorship family and heavy into service work. And I finished my first step, and, writing was normal for me. I was done so much cell time and prison time that like writing was like a favorite pastime when I'm busted, and so it was like, okay, but it's the easiest thing to do until you start digging with yourself, right? Like I know that it was so easy to judge the man next to me, but then when I started putting it all on paper, it's like, bro, like now I get to see myself in the mirror for real, and obviously that manageability, we got through all that. I mean, I remember sitting down with, and all glory to my God, Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Like, I remember sitting down with the third step prayer, and my sponsor, I said, "Who's your higher power, bro? Just curious." And he said, "My higher power, bro, like I know there is one. I know there is something bigger than me, but right now it's this program." And then I said, "All right." And I remember praying for him, "Lord, bring him to you." But we did the third step prayer on our hands and knees together. And I'm going, dude, like, this is so many times in the streets. I looked for brotherhood. I looked for friendships, like solid friends. I was looking in all the wrong areas, people burning me, people robbing, we're robbing and stealing from each other, like whatever it may be, fighting each other at the bars. And this is what it tastes like to have like someone there for you, like for real. And so, I say I have several spiritual experiences going through the steps, and I can't stress enough for me that the steps is what changed my life. I go to meetings for maintenance. I do. When I feel like a little irritation or like, I go to a meeting or two here and there, but the steps and service work is what changed my life. And, so we get to that fourth step for me was like, I got my fears out on paper and you're doing good in some areas. My sponsor said, those are healthy fears. I said, well, thank God, wanting to be a father, wanting to be this, wanting to be that. I had some unhealthy fears. Like I was such an addict and alcoholic. I didn't know what it was like to travel because I didn't want to be too far away from the dope man. Yeah. And that's what it comes down to, is once I got all the paper on paper, like, look, bro, like, here's your harms to others, right? Or here's your resentments. I did my resentments. Here we go. All right. I got a page and a half, this person, that person, me playing the victim and most of it, and then my harms to others is like 4 pages, and I'm going, whoa, dude. And that's why I said we get to look at ourselves in the mirror. It's like, I've been being a piece of for a long time.
You can say shit just for the record.
Yeah, but I mean, I try to just, I try to keep it limited, bro. Only on the basketball court. No, I'm playing.
I mean, whatever.
Yeah. No, I'm just teasing,
You can
bro.
dude, you can drop F-bombs, dude. I've got.
Hey, stop trying to force him to cuss.
I'm just saying, man.
Hey,
Like,
no.
There's been like 6 times I've got goosebumps from your story, man. So just keep going. Bro.
Yeah. So,
good,
go ahead, bro.
I was gonna say I got a question. So whenever you were, because I've been to prison twice, so
Okay.
I know that whatever I did and as hard as I went in prison, that's what I told myself. That's one of the things that I told myself I was going to go that hard in recovery. And whenever you experience something like that, it's like a little bit different. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just, it's different. Like if you really commit to something, you got to fully commit to it. And if you fully commit to it, man, anything can fucking happen. I promise.
Oh, bro.
And I love your story. I really do.
I think that goes with all aspects of life. Like, for me, I'm sold out in everything I do. I'm like 2 feet in or 2 feet out, and that's how I approach this recovery thing with this is like, once I realized that being a piece of crap, piece of shit, like for a long time, like, bro, I hit this point of my character defects was like, have you guys ever asked yourselves, like, I wonder how this person sees me?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I wonder what their perspective of me is and how I am, right? And you got like, I used to have these little fancy little, I like to think he thinks me as tough, pride, I'm smart, I'm this, whatever, bro. But like, bro, I got to my character defects. I'm like, bro, this is how people are looking at me. Like, this is how I'm seen. Like, I mean, so I think that was a spiritual experience on its own, we have like, I think it's like 32 character defects listed, and then definitions. And go through the definitions was like, one of them was murder, for instance, right? And I'm going, and my sponsor told me before I started, I said, bro, I don't know if I'll be able to find myself in all of them. He said, if you can't find yourself, call me, I'll help you. And I go, all right. I just took him for his word, bro. So I look at it. I'll read the definition. I look at murder, and I've never whacked somebody. But I look at it, and it's character assassination, gossip, like,
Yeah.
and bro, like, I'm like,
Man.
oh, okay, so I'm living with that right now. And I got to see the ones that were, we put stars next to the ones that were, I was active in that character defect often, and then the ones I needed to work on, and then the ones that, I've kind of grew out of or past, and just having that information about myself, it's like the light was on after that, as far as my everyday interaction with others. You got to remember, I'm in the Salvation Army. I'm in a program. I mean, we're doing soft time, but we're still doing time.
Yeah.
It's a 6-month program, very structured. I mean, it's like I said, it's soft time, but you're still around other men. I got to say this. Someone asked me not too long ago, what made you decide to stop? I said, you know what? I just got tired of showering with other men.
Pretty good reason. Yeah.
It's a great motivator. Great motivator.
Yeah. So, basically, I'm living. I getting a chance to exercise this, being aware of my character defects. I'm working with guys because it's a working program. You kind of work your tuition on, what it costs to be there. You work it every day for 8 hours, and which was great for me. I knew I wanted to be back in the union. I needed to learn how to have a work ethic again.
Yeah.
I've lost everything, cars, welders, everything, dude. I mean, and then that's just material, like we're talking about broken relationships, work ethic. I can go on and on and on that what drugs and alcohol took from me. And I never thought it would ever, but, as I'm walking into work, guy pisses me off, and I want to square up with him. I want to take him in the trailer and, like, put a card up and get behind there. And I'm like, wait a minute. And I immediately make amends. You know what, bro? I'm sorry for acting out of character. Like, and I realized when I walked away from that, like, bro, that's not me. I wouldn't even have told them nothing, before. Now I'm self-aware. Like, what? So it's like a muscle for me now. Now, as long as I'm practicing being aware, I'm getting better at it. So now I'm catching myself before I act out, and making amends after when I do. But like, it was just such a spiritual experience, to be able to get into the fifth step for me, and was like, I get to, like, sponsor says, bro, just give me all the trash, put it all in the bags, and I'll take it to the dumpster for you, bro. And being able to sit down with another man and bear all with him, like, everything, bro, everything that I never thought I'd never tell anyone, because he told me, bro, don't hold anything back. That's what's going to take you out. Those resentments, those harms to others, those things that eat at you from the inside, that's what's going to make you want to go back and forget again, and, man, bearing all was another whole thing, it was like, whoa. And, when I made amends with people, it wasn't all butterflies and rainbows. And, I couldn't expect it to be, I'd done so much damage so long that, like, I had now it's time to prove myself, now it's time to get that credibility back and prove that I am the person I've always conceived myself to be. And, going back a little bit, like, so do the right things. We talked about this and before, do the right things come, right? Well, bro, as soon as I started doing the steps, it was like my sister-in-law showed up with my son randomly and was like, hey, do you want to go to this local little theme park we have out here, like in California? And I'm like, what? Like, yeah. And I'm like seeing my son for the first time in years, like hugging him, like he's big, bro. Dude, he's 14, he's 6'1", dude, 220 now, like, so like that's just perspective on like how much he grew in those 4 years that I'm gone, and then so I'm seeing him. I'm like, are you serious? Like, so it's like, I'm like in awe. I'm already starting to ride this pink cloud, of recovery. And, I say to this day, I always tell my sponsees, like, I still ride a pink cloud. The elevation might get lower sometimes, but my best day loaded, it was never as good as my worst day sober, bro. And, so we get to the theme park and all that stuff, and I'm spending time, and now like I'm all starting to cultivate this relationship and this trust, and there's obviously hoops I had to jump into, and like, it's, oh man, I just can't thank God enough for recovery. But in the end, I'm good at starting things and not good at finishing things. Well, I wasn't, through my alcoholism and addiction, and another spiritual experience was completing the steps. I completed the steps, and I'm like, bro, I just finished something. Like, I finished something, and now, and character defects. I got kicked out of Salvation Army at 5 months for chewing tobacco on a cell phone, right?
Oh,
So character defects are still real, but the tools of recovery for me were so thick in my life at this point, was automatic, from working the steps, from following other people's leads, taking suggestions, like following the formula was like, I first indicated, I heard my sponsor say, what's the next indicated step? I called my sponsor, hey, I got kicked out, da da da. He's all, come pick you up, get your stuff together. Bro, all I had is a trash bag and a bicycle to my name, and he comes, picks me up. He's all, what's the next thing? I call my parole officer. God opens up a door at a bed for sober living, I get to the sober living, and everyone's drinking and using. It's wild, right? Everyone's loaded. But that's how sold out, like Chris and I were talking about, he was mentioning like being sold out. I was so sold out that like, all right, bro, I'm sticking to myself. I know how to program by myself. I'm going to program by myself, and I'm going to get to recovery. I knew that I had someone coming to pick me up for a meeting later in the week. I'm just going to wait it out, man. Wait it out. Get on my bike. Go try to find a job. And one of my best friends to this day, he's sitting on the couch, and we're real weary of him, as he is me. And he goes, all right, man, we're kind of in passing. All right, man, I'm going to a meeting. He's, oh, yeah, me too. So my ride's almost here. Yeah, mine too. All right, have a good one. And we walk out the door together, and we have same ride.
Okay,
and find out we're in the same sponsorship family, So, I always heard in the program, latch on to somebody when you're young in recovery, man, and hit meetings, like be diligent, latch on to somebody and go out, get after it. And like, bro, ever since then, we were riding our bike to meetings, because that's all we owned. Like we just kind of stayed arm in arm. Like I got a car through working a little $15 an hour job. Then, I would take him to meetings, and then I got back in the union. I got him in the union. I came over to this potholing company where I run a vac truck. Now I pulled him over. Bro, where I'm at today is, bro, I've went into a jail and left. Like actually left. I walked in and was able to leave. I walked in the front door, bro. And it was wild. Like I walk in this juvenile detention center, and these guys have got their hood up all on their face, their gang, and just looking up to me for all the wrong reasons. And like we were talking about, bro, like what do we drink or use if we had the choice back in the day? But I probably wouldn't choose to drink or use again if I had to. But where I am today is after these choices, I'm the man that people want to be like for all the wrong reasons, but get to hear God and recovery out of me. So now I have a platform, bro. Now I can reach people through my bad choices. Like God, all things work together for the good, for the God who, for those who love God. And that's what he's doing. Like I walk up in this juvenile detention center, these little gang members are looking at me like, oh yeah, he's been to prison, he's down with the business, whatever, and then like they get to hear my story, bro, and that it's not the business, that like, bro, recovery and God and like, family and good career, like this is the business, bro, like, I love doing service work, I love sponsoring people. Also where I'm at today is I asked God, to help me be more involved in the church, and it's all about trying to find a healthy balance for me with family, recovery, so on and so forth. But sure enough, right after I asked God to help me be more of service, this guy walks up to me. He's like, "Hey man, you been to prison?" I said, "I sure have. What's going on?" He's like, I'm an ex-detective of 30 years. I'm like, "Oh, is that right? Right on. Hey, it's nice to be on the same side of the fence as you, And he goes, "Would you be interested in going to prisons and giving your testimony?" And I said, "What?" So like, I just got involved in like this behind the wall ministries. It's been established for like 50, 60 years. And bro, I'm grateful, went from not knowing if I would see my son again to, bro, I've coached his basketball teams and now he's into acting and like I go to his productions and like
That's fucking cool.
like
dude.
he just left. I just dropped him off before the podcast. He was with me all week and we went fishing on Saturday morning and then I took him, got him some glasses for blue light because he's on these, damn devices all the time. But long story short, bro, like I'm present, and dude, the recovery, let's just be honest, right? Like if I didn't think I could have fun being sober, I'd be loaded 100%, right?
100%.
And I think that's a constant misconception is for people who want to get sober. I know it was for me, it was the fear of not knowing if I'd ever be able to have fun again. And another tool in recovery, I wrote down a list of things that I like to do. I wrote a little time from when I was a kid to now, whether it be reading books because I was in prison, I do like to read books. But I wrote down WWE, bro, and I had to cross that one off. Like, nah, bro, I don't enjoy that no more, But like golf, basketball, like, and so I started doing the things that I used to like to do, in those good times that I was sober or still functioning as an addict. And fishing, bro, I took my son, but I can't stand it, like it was better loaded, but I had to learn how to drink and have, or not to drink and not to use and still have fun. And bro, I went from most toxic relationship. Now my ex-wife, she's got just got her year sober, praise God. Now she's a present mother, my wife now, my current wife has been married for 3 years. I asked her, dude, we were on video at a skydiving place on my sobriety birthday on video. I give the guy the ring at the bottom. I ask, "Hey, will you marry me?" And she looks at me like, and we're in the plane. She's like, "What?" "Yeah, but like, kind of like, where's the ring, stupid?" And then and I did a backflip out of the plane, bro. Like, it was epic, right?
Yeah.
Then they get me on camera coming down. I swoop in, I grab the ring. She's sliding in. I'm on one knee. It's all on video, bro. Like, who does that? Like,
That's pretty fucking epic. Yeah.
Wow.
right? Like bro,
Wow.
talking about recovery at its fullest, bro. Like,
Hell yeah.
I'm not the richest man, but I am rich, bro.
Yeah.
I am rich. I've got a great career. I got 23 felonies, bro. They got so many. I can't get a job being a felon. Well, bro, I got 23 of them. And
Yeah.
I got a great
That's-
career in the union. Just life is good, bro. Life is good. I just had a baby. He's 3 weeks old. Second God of second chances. This baby gets to see me sober one day at a time, as long as I do that and stay, grounded in my roots of recovery and God that, Lord willing, he gets to see me sober for his whole life. And and for that, I'm grateful, man. I would say if anyone's listening out there, man, don't fix what isn't broken. Um, there are hundreds of thousands, we'll just say thousands of people working a recovery program that are successful today. And they're not only successful, they're having fun. They are, they're living life to the fullest. So get a sponsor, work the steps, dig deep within yourselves, whether it be, through someone that, a therapist, whether it be, don't be afraid to look at yourself. Don't be afraid to dig deep, um, don't try to fix what's not broken, man. Just follow someone else's lead and just, man, trust God, clean house, and work with others. But yeah, man, I appreciate you guys for having me on here.
Bro, such a
Hey,
good story, dude. I've still got goosebumps from that shit, dude. That's fucking so good. So good.
I am so glad. I am so glad I asked you to be on here, bro. It has been very powerful.
It's
That's
been
that's
good,
one
dude.
thing I love about doing this every Sunday is I feel like I get to be at a speaker meeting every Sunday. But
Right.
I just love, man, that's powerful. So for our listeners out there, I get a lot of people that message and they're still struggling. And we talked earlier about, I love what you said about how the choice becomes the disease. I love that answer. What would you say to that person who has made them string of bad choices and now is stuck
In the
in this
disease, yeah.
cycle and they can't get out? But they want to.
You
But they
know
want
what?
to.
I believe that anyone, when they're ready, I mean, you've got to be completely broken down. Everyone's got their own bottom, just like a lake. The lake has different bottoms of the lake, and everyone has their own bottom. And if you feel you're at your bottom, then there is a solution.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's thousands of people out there that are working a program of recovery that that found a new way to live. And I would just say that if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and your ways aren't working, then try someone else's, and it's proven. There's a great percentage of us, all four of us are a product of a program of recovery, and I seen your guys' video, bro. You guys are living pretty fun lives.
Oh,
Aside from
we have a blast, bro. We have a
yeah,
blast in recovery.
yeah,
Recovery is
I
so fun.
Dude, I can't. Yeah, I mean, I can't emphasize what you said enough that I wouldn't be staying sober if I wasn't having a good time all the time. It's not all the time, but it's if there's not enjoyable shit to do, I would just go back to the bar or whatever, go where go back to the dope house. I mean, it's
right.
just there are so many good things and fulfilling things to do in life without having to put a drug or drink in my system.
Yeah,
Uh,
don't fix what's not broken, man. That's what I would say. Find someone that's working program recovery and work it, man. And I mean, do the work.
yeah. So here's your question. I'd already talked to you about this before we came on the air, and then you'll be asked. We'll kind of all answer this or whatever, but then I'll ask you what your question is going to be for our next guest. Which are we going to reveal who the next guest is since he's not in recovery?
Who?
Should
It's up to you. I'm definitely down to do that. This is gonna be an amazing guest. Makes me super excited to have him on too.
Yeah, we will. It's fine. So our next guest is not
So
actually
do you
going to be
want?
somebody who's in recovery. It's going to be somebody who's. I already told him it's going to be a clinician, and
Right.
we're going to
Okay.
kind of
Yeah.
get the medical perspective on addiction, alcoholism, etc. So
Love
again,
that.
kind of keep that in mind when you ask your question. But it can be,
And it won't be on StreamYard, correct? It'll be live.
it'll be live.
We'll be
From
all together.
yeah, we'll be
Yes.
back in the studio.
Like old school, been around the block.
Yep. And
Nice.
we're going to be moving back to that at some
And,
point. Still working on some shit with that, but we are going to be back live at some point. So
All right, let them
and,
answer the
and
damn
I'm gonna bring
question,
the
bro.
baby oil.
you already
How
did,
do I?
bro.
How what? How do I control the uncontrollables, or how do I control my controllables? I would say, you know, there's a thing that we read um, in the program of recovery, and I'm just going to read it to you, and I can't put it any better any better than this. Um, and it's how I control. It's how I don't control. I think that's really what it is. The things the things that I can't control, and this is how I'm able to let go, right? It says acceptance. Acceptance is the answer to all my problems today. When I am disturbed, it is because I find some person, place, thing, or situation, some fact of my life unacceptable to me, and I can find no serenity until I accept that person, place, or thing, or situation as being exactly the way it's supposed to be at this moment. And I'll pause there. Is that's usually what the things I can't control is usually the a person, place, or thing, And I think that learning to practice this acceptance prayer is so huge for me to be able to let go of control because honestly in the end, like as far as I believe, like I believe I have the freedom of choice, but at the same time, in the end, it's all written out for me and what's going to happen as far as I believe, And so, not controlling and giving God the wheel. And don't get me wrong, I completely take the wheel back right after I give it to Him. It's a constant struggle, but practicing acceptance. It says nothing, absolutely nothing happens in God's world by mistake until I could accept my alcoholism or addiction and could not stay sober unless I could accept my life completely on life's terms. I cannot be happy. I need to concentrate not so much on what needs to be changed in the world, on what needs to be changed in me and my attitudes. So just self-reflection, I get in the gym, I hit the gym hard, I play basketball, I try to vent and get out anger in healthy ways and just try to practice acceptance in my life. That would be my answer.
Okay. What
Love
about you,
that.
Bradley? What's your answer to that?
I actually have that framed, and where
I
I
know.
where
Yeah,
I
I'm very familiar with the. Yeah.
where I pray in the morning. I read that every morning because man,
It's
uh,
powerful. Yeah, that's a definitely got a tab somewhere for that passage.
Yeah.
So, what about you, Chris?
Um, um,
he's
how
watching
do I control
football.
my
He was watching
Oh, I'm
controllables?
football
sorry,
on his
dude.
phone.
No, I'm
Sorry.
not. I'm not watching football. I'm not watching football. How do I control my controllables, man? Man, I can't really do that no more. I try not to do that because that's what led me to the point of destruction was like manipulation was my biggest thing, and I try not to do that no more. So I try to let shit be because I know God is like I'm fucked up. I fucking get in a lot of fucking trouble. So I know I gotta just let it be because otherwise I fucking act on my intrusive thoughts, and that's what fucking gets me put in jail or in prison.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just kind of echo what Chris says, man. I don't have control of shit. That's the bottom line. I think that's the point that I have is if I try and take my control back, if persons don't act the role that I assign, oh my God, everything's going to hell, and everything would be fine if you just acted a certain way, etc. So I'm with you, Chris, on that. So what's going to be your question, Matt?
So my question is, I guess like I said, I'll restructure it for someone that's on the other side of this, like the medical field of, recovery is, how do you, what, what is a good way to approach finding out how to enjoy life and be sober or how to have fun in sobriety? How do you teach your clients to reinvent themselves to enjoy sobriety?
Man,
It's good.
So huge for me. Like I said, I'd be loaded and I'd be drunk, I'd be something if I didn't enjoy my life, you know? Can't wait for next week because it's going to be kind of nice to hear from the other
a
side.
different perspective. I actually love that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's going to be really good.
Guys, I want to before we get off
It,
here, I want to shout everyone out that commented. Trey Fisher, Laren Seaton, uh, I am Preston Powell, Frank Sporer, Joshua Corona, Robin Salig. I'm sorry if I'm messing these
Yeah,
names up. Timothy Pillardi. Let's see.
Robin, did you already say
Chad
Robin?
Boshears, what's up, bro? Uh, Andrew Forte, Debbie Budke. God, I hope I'm saying it right.
You could just say the last initial if we need to. I mean, I'm sure it'll be fine. We'll get the.
Okay, am I saying McCallie Thompson? I know
It's
her.
Mets
I just
McKaylee.
McKaylee. Okay,
Yeah.
I said McCallie.
McCallie.
Megan, what's up, girl?
Hey,
Jimmy
Megan.
Young.
Yeah, we know him.
Paul Kralowitz. Man, I should have had you.
That sounded
do
right.
this. Darren Austin Hisley and Jesse Willis. Jesse Willis said she loved your story. She also said the screen was frozen.
Yeah, I don't. Well,
Man, I don't think we're having any problems. So
no, I think
maybe it's your screen, Jesse. Maybe you got to check your Wi-Fi, sweetheart.
Yeah, probably. Well, man, I can't say. Like I said, I had goosebumps like probably a dozen times during your testimony, dude. It was so awesome, and like we talked to everybody about this. We'd like to have you back on. How many episodes are we getting to before we do that? 50? Isn't that what we decided?
I think 50.
What do we do? What do we do? 50 or 52? Because that'd be a
Do the
year.
full year.
I think
52
that-
weeks. Well,
I think I'm gonna pray to be there in person, bro. Like that this platform reaches so many people that
We'd like to be. Oh man, you give me
Fly
goosebumps
out.
again, bro.
I'm able to fly out, bro. You know what I mean?
That'd be good.
That'd be
man.
dope. That'd be
That'd
dope.
We'll get there some.
Well,
No,
we can
let's
come
go to
there.
Cali. We're going to Cali, man.
let's go to
I think
Cali.
that'd be better. I think that'd be much better. I'd like to do
Hey.
that. I think. We got Chris.
Matthew, you like to get tatted up, don't you?
Yeah, I actually do tattoos
like
on the
to-
side. Kind of a paid hobby for myself. My whole head's blasted. Can't see it right now, but yeah, I'm pretty slung back from the head to the toe. I love getting tattooed.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
Well,
a
I'm
fan.
trying to get blasted up by you. How about that?
let's do it.
I want to get
I'm
tatted
done.
up, man. Get some
Hey, we
more.
can do it on the podcast, bro, and make you scream.
Oh, we need to all do the. Yeah, I mean that's another reason to fly Cali. We get Bradley his first tattoo. I mean.
No.
Naked, bro. Naked.
We
Damn.
get some baby oil. It would be just like nothing ever happened, bro.
Oh, dude, I'll bring the slip and slide.
There you go. Hell yeah, this guy speaks our language, man. All right, man. Thank you so much. Episode 26. Thank you all for tuning in. It's been a great episode, and we'll see you guys next week.
All right, have a good one,
Call
man.
this number back. I need $25 for this walk around sit down chair.
Productions.
Been around the block. Been around the block.